Welcome everyone to today's Hedera General Community Call. I'm Luke Forrest from the Hashgraph team. In this series, we're going to explore how Hedera empowers its ecosystem projects to deliver real-world value. So today, we're joined by Sachin, co-founder and CEO of Xeni, a white-label travel platform that settles every booking on-chain on Hedera. And also Jonathan, Chief Product and Strategy Officer at Sealcoin, a DePIN platform enabling autonomous machine-to-machine and AI agent transactions on Hedera. Let's kick things off with some quick introductions. Sachin and Jonathan, if you could join me on stage.
Hello.
Awesome.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Luke.
Lovely to meet you both. Sachin, could you give us an introduction, a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you all. Nice to meet you, Jonathan, and the entire Hedera community. Super happy to be back here. Been there a couple of months ago. I'm founder and CEO of Zeni, building a travel infrastructure layer, powering major super apps and enterprises. You said white label community. We're like no longer serving too much of small people, powering a mega corps worldwide. Thanks.
Awesome. And Jonathan?
Likewise, thank you, Luke, for having me. Glad to meet you, Sachin, and glad to be connected to the Hedera community. Basically, I'm the Chief Product and Strategy Officer for Sealcoin, which is part of a large cybersecurity group, which does a few different things. Maybe I can show you quickly. We produce actually microprocessors that are deployed in many devices. We also produce identities that we can actually inject in the silicon. We launch satellites, and with Sealcoin, we created this decentralized platform that enables those devices and those machines to start interacting and transacting with one another, which means that another way to look at it is that we can actually inject a crypto wallet inside any machines that make them transactional, but also close to our DNA and cybersecurity DNA. We also make sure that each of these machines have an identity and a secure framework or layer, making sure that they can not only transact, but also transact safely in this environment.
Awesome. Incredible. Incredible. Glad to have you both here. Really excited to dig a little bit deeper into both of your projects here. So Sachin, Xeni positions itself as a global infrastructure layer powering super apps and large enterprises to resell travel to their own audience. What problem in the travel industry settlement and distribution model made you realize this needed to be built on chain, and why Hedera specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Thank you, Luke. So think of travel, so just to give you a little bit of background on travel for the audience here. Look, the world's largest employer is travel. 330 million people basically are employed by the travel industry. It's the largest employer in the world. It's a 10% global GDP. So the problems are plenty, but the economy is kind of like, the ecosystem of travel is hijacked by pretty large players who are pretty much controlling the inventory. That means aggregation of inventory and the distribution, and the payment layer is also controlled. So travel is the largest cross-border payment problem in the world in terms of security, in terms of fraud, in terms of counterparty settlements. Aggregation is also a cross-border aggregation. You have more than 2 to 3 million hotels or vacation rental, or people are purchasing the travel in different currencies, and it needs to be settled in different currencies between multiple parties. So the aggregation problem, distribution problem is also huge, because you're not only aggregating, you're distributing. So aggregating the hotel inventory, aggregating the flights inventory, and distributing it to large players is also a major problem. Solved by a couple of players, but in a complete isolation and in benefit to them. So there are 3 to 4 major angles in travel. Xeni has basically built the infrastructure like Jonathan explained here. He's embedding the wallet for the machine. We are embedding the wallet for every single user in the ecosystem, whether he is a B2B supplier, whether it's a user, whether it's in a major hotel owner. So we're embedding the wallet layer, and that wallet layer basically captures every single transaction happen within the ecosystem on chain and tied to a promissory note. For example, let's say you made a booking reservation in London. Luke goes on in Zeni-powered super app, let's call it Uber here, for example. Yeah. He goes in Uber, you book a hotel in London. Now what happens is there are 3 counterparties, you, Uber, Zeni, and there are more, which you don't know about, the hotel itself, but there might be a supplier in between who is giving you the inventory, and it needs to settle into that currency. So if everybody has a wallet, we can create a smart contract around the transaction, and we settle these parties based on the cancellation rules. So you don't have to chase your money. If there is refundability, people get paid, and they don't have to send invoices to each other. So it's a change in water flow method from collecting the funds by one party to another. We are basically saying funds stays in a virtual escrow in a crypto wallet, and it gets settled based on their commission structure or however their business agreements in between each other, and it's all encrypted. That is the major trusted third-party layer ecosystem was provided by Zeni. To get to that, we had to, and I don't want to give a long answer, but to get to that, since the problem is so complicated, we had to rebuild the entire travel infrastructure from ground up, whether it's an aggregation, distribution, and the setup. Because parties there is no one piece of the puzzle you can solve. You have to bring all of them together to be able to disrupt the ecosystem.
Yeah, incredible. We've already got a question as well from someone in the community asking if there are plans for adoption by any airlines, or is this independent? You mentioned hotels there, or is this, every aspect of travel would be covered by Zeni?
So there is a yes. Here is what I can tell. There's few things I can tell and I cannot, but within Zeni's ecosystem, we have access to 100 million plus users. That means we will be enabling 100 million plus wallet at some point in time. There are major players in the travel industry who are either part of our ecosystem or already experimenting with our solution. So yes, both answers are yes. Cannot disclose the name until we're fully ready to roll it out. And there is a major component I will give a little bit into the user or the community member who asked this question is, we are planning to do something in the rewards and loyalty sector. It itself is around $140 billion US economy in just in US. That's the loyalty economy, and it's super siloed, and it is very much completely controlled by the brand. They devalue it. It's almost growing 13.1% per year. So it's going to get to $60 billion from $28 billion, just the software value of the loyalty programs. So we're basically removing a lot of barriers and creating a whole unique universal loyalty system, which will allow the wallet holder within our ecosystem or outside of our ecosystem to be able to tap and redeem the points across any airline or across any brand, and the value will be always protected. So making the owner of the loyalty as they control it, not the brands. So it's a pretty exciting phase for our company where we have a massive ecosystem coming to Hedera. There are major reasons we use the chain. The most important for us was the cost of transaction, speed of transaction, finality of the transaction, because we have to split the payments between multiple parties.
Yeah.
So that's your answer. But yes, we are in conversation.
Incredible. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that announcement as well when you make it. And we've actually got another question as well. It seems you're very popular today. Zoid here says, when will Zeni scale? Also, are the partners listing Zeni or using their company names without showing Zeni as a provider?
So we started out as being a completely on the backend layer. So we never wanted to come in the front and put our names. So for example, there is a massive super app. It's a somewhat like Uber in Northern Africa. Okay, I wouldn't name. They have millions of users, and we say your customer trusts you, your brand, you continue. We will take care of all of the travel infrastructure, pre, post, and right at the time of the transaction. So we have made all of our infrastructure extremely white labelable, so the brands don't feel threatened. We don't bring ourselves out in the market unless it's a request from the brand itself.
Yeah, understood.
So we are powering pretty large customers across the globe in 75 countries, more than more than you would imagine in different currencies, So
That's right. And there's a follow-up question here as well, asking if this will allow for cheaper airline tickets, or will providers keep the spread?
yes. So we are the largest aggregator of all of the travel in the world, whether it's a vacation rental or anything. So when I say cheaper airline tickets, it's not. So I don't know how many of our community members know that airlines lose money by selling the airline tickets. The only way they make money is the loyalty programs. So truly, there is no discounts available on the economy and business class. But there are certain deals airlines lose a lot more money. So you just basically offer what it is out in the market. So we are in the business of passing all the discount to some of our exclusive members. We keep an eye on our Twitter account, X account, and LinkedIn to hear the announcement where they will be able to get those cheap access to cheaper tickets, cheaper inventory. It could be from anywhere between 5 to 60% savings in hotel booking. We have settled more than $15 million within Hedera ecosystem, just in the pilot phase in the last 1 year alone.
Yeah. Wow. So, hopefully that answered your question there, Zoid Pilot. Feel free to put anything else in the chat. And if anyone else has any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll bring them as they come in. And Jonathan, so before Sealcoin, you led Vetri Foundation focused on personal data sovereignty. How did that experience shape your thinking about machine sovereignty and autonomous transaction?
So basically with Vetri, which was one of the early ICOs back in 2017, we're focusing on giving individuals ownership and control over their personal data. And obviously that experience led to the next frontier where, yes, we do own data, but most of the time it's through devices, through machines. And this is where it clicked to me that we had to look a bit further down into the infrastructure and eventually straight through the silicon of environment to make sure that we could provide something more tangible. And maybe what you're referencing to this aha moment was that in this machine economy that is happening now through AI agents, through all those devices becoming autonomous, and we'll come back to autonomous maybe in a second, we individuals are the bottleneck. Okay, we need to get out of the loop to make sure that they can actually start doing things that we cannot apprehend. We cannot work at that speed. But for this to happen, we need to make sure that the infrastructure lays the ground for a safe environment. What it means that you might have a hardware layer. It's not mandatory, but you might have a hardware layer. It depends. If we're talking about your router at home, it's very important that they are protected by those type of devices. And this is why Cisco is one of our largest clients. In any Cisco routers, you would have those secure elements provided by us or by the group or by any other one in the world. So depending on the device, you might want to have that, those microchips. But then the layer which Sealcoin enables and which is mandatory for everyone is making sure that any of these devices will have what we call a certificate of authenticity, which means, in other words, just an identity. This identity serves two purposes: making sure that the device or the agent can authenticate itself whenever it has to transact with an API point, with another agent or another device. That's very important, okay? Specifically, if you want them to start transacting on your behalf and giving them access to your money or your data. So that's very important. And the second point is you want to make sure that you can claim the ownership of those activities. And the counterpoint of this ownership is, I think we all need to make sure that these machines have accountability in the infrastructure. And this is exactly what we're providing. We're providing an infrastructure where you can actually register all of these devices. You can make sure that they can all be authenticated. They are all linked to your own wallet as the owner of these devices, and therefore make sure that they can start participate into the machine economy, what we organize as vertical marketplaces. What it means that we have built an infrastructure layer on top of which we can start adding now the business logic to it. And the business logic will be very different when we are onboarding our satellites, for example. So we already have a few satellites with the Sealcoin agent, enabling the satellite to either sell satellite as a service for devices and for communication purposes, but also to relay information and to become part of the nodes of the ecosystem. And it will be very different if you have, for example, let's say a solar panel that you want to register and your neighbor has an electric vehicle. You want them to be able to transact with one another. Services, most of the time, is going to be energy. Okay.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that those devices belong genuinely to those individuals, make sure that they can authenticate themselves. And actually, obviously, we also provide the settlement layer through our own cryptocurrency. And this is why we have this hybrid, but maybe we can come back to that later, hybrid model where we provide utility, which is security through identity and access to those use cases, but also a payment layer, which is given, I mean, it's obvious to us in the crypto space, but to the outside world, machines do not have access to money yet.
Mm-hmm.
They have access to a bank account, which is not designed for this machine economy. And this is what we are obviously designing on top of it.
Yeah, awesome. And there's a question here on YouTube to sort of follow up with that. How does using Hedera make your platform better compared to using a normal system?
Basically, Hedera enables us to do many more things. I mean, it has to do with the nature of how Hedera was built and what we needed the most, what was the main point that we needed was making sure that we had high throughput. We're talking about onboarding the next trillion of devices, not billion of users. So high throughput was obviously very key to us. Secure. We're a cybersecurity company, and we understand that most of our clients need those security frameworks. So it was very important that we could actually speak the same language. By the way, we actually participated last year to a HIP, so Hedera Improvement Protocol suggestions, because we are also, the one thing that I haven't mentioned is that the next generation of our microprocessors are already post-quantum ready, which means that we are starting to ship over those microchips with post-quantum algorithms. And obviously, if we can protect those devices at a quantum level, we need to make sure that the protocols are following, making sure that the transactions are also protected at the quantum level. And this is why also we participate to those improvements proposal together with the networks. And I think the last point, which is highly relevant to us and very dear also to the Hedera DNA, is that most of the governance council of Hedera are our clients or prospects.
Yes.
We're talking about Google, Amazon, Boeing, all those large manufacturers that actually not only need security, but also most of the time buy those microprocessors or those identities for their objects. And this is where we have a natural fit to these ecosystems where we can actually go there and speak either the same language because they're already familiar with the Hedera ecosystem, and bring trust also to them, or we can actually onboard them easily having this credibility on the back of Hedera.
Yeah, incredible. And we've got another question for you here as well. Do you think there's a requirement for home networks to have improved security?
Yes.
To improve the future data sovereignty?
So it's already in place. The one thing, I didn't want to go too deep into details, but what I call a certificate of authenticity, it's a certificate in the format of X509, but we don't need to go into details. Let's say it's the identity of the object. It has become now mandatory, specifically in the US, but it's going to be global, and it's already global for any manufacturers, whether we're talking about Amazon, Google, Apple, any of these manufacturers have the obligation now to issue certificates or identities for any of these objects, specifically in the home space. They came together, creating the Matters Alliance, so Matter certifications. And in the world of this alliance, those certificates need to be compatible, making sure that you can recognize those identities. And you have actually 3 providers in the world being able to issue those identities. Among them, our group is part of them. So we are well positioned to be able not only to issue identities, but making sure that those identities are compatible with the rest of the world. So those Matter certification, because it's specific to this question, it's very much for the IoT certification, so home appliances. But similar to that, you have the equivalent with GSMA for our phones, which there you have only 2 in the world recognized, among which we are, again, one of the providers. So again, we're talking about billions of those certificates. To date, we issued 4.5 billion of these certificates already in the world, which it's not like it's an add-on services or it's a nice to have. It's a bit like similar that I have an example that would speak to everyone. We used to use web pages with www.yourwebpage. Now it was HTTP. Now you have HTTPS website. This S website stands for security, where any of these websites have the obligation to be able to claim the ownership of the domain name to have those certificates. Those are exactly the same. And this is where, whether it's a physical machine or a digital machine, think of it as an AI agent, you are required to provide those certificates of authenticity, making sure that you own the device or the machines. This is exactly what we provide.
That's right. And that HTTPS is the sort of like the SSL certificate, the X509 certificate, isn't it? And that allows
exactly the same. And that's exactly the same technology that what we do in blockchain. Those certificates are nothing else but PKI services, public key infrastructure, where you have a public and a private key. Those microprocessors are nothing else but a vault that can keep those secrets, public and private keys. So adding an identity inside of the object or a crypto wallet is actually the same technology, plus or minus. But we are talking the same language, and this is where we could actually, a bit as Sachin was describing, we are verticalizing the whole value chain in making sure that we can actually provide everything the infrastructure needs, okay? And that eventually can conflict sometimes with the decentralization vision that we all have, okay? But we can actually provide the whole value chain and make sure that then each of those components can be decentralized.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah,
super. Really a lot of learning. Amazing. Great job on this, Jonathan. Even explaining this is pretty complex, right? But it really impacts the day-to-day lives of people when you have a secured infrastructure built with a very crypto native elements embedded into the device, and then you bring that utility further up. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of in fact, even having people to get to buy into it, and then they realize the value and benefit 10, 20 years later or 5 years later. Hedera is definitely getting embedded into this kind of ecosystem. I'm just so happy to learn this whole thing from you. Thanks.
Yes.
Really cool to see. Sachin, so Zeni has been described as the Shopify of travel. When you were evaluating which blockchain to build on, what specifically about Hedera made it the right fit for settling travel payments at scale?
So when we're looking at, so number one, why even we needed the blockchain? I did give the answer in the very first part of my question. Like, you have a lot of parties and everybody owes money or data. So there is no single source of truth sitting on travel. And if you remember a couple of years ago, if you would be having a hotel confirmation number coming into your booking, and you go to a hotel and like, hey, could you find my booking with you? And they're like, oh, let me look at it. Oh, yeah, this booking number doesn't match in our system. And you're like, that's stupid. And then, can you contact the guy you booked from? Now imagine their centralized server never sent, there is no exchange. They just gave you the reservation, and then the hotel has that confirmation email sitting in their email inbox, and they don't know how to put back. So there is so much of, there are multiple pillars in travel. They're broken and they're not talking to each other. So the way we decide to try is a system which will create a single source of truth for all the information, whether it's a transaction, whether it's a booking confirmation, and we also want to definitively know what would be the cost of it, so that all the parties have equal responsibility to share the cost. Now imagine you have a fluctuating gas rather than a peg to a dollar system. Like you have to pay 5 cents or 10 cents on each transaction. You would make sure the commission or the split of that transaction goes between the party as agreed in an agreement or in a contract value. You just can't have a fluctuate. Like there is so many things. So most of I know a lot of people use the payment processor like Stripe and all of that, and then there is an option. Oh, you can choose the fixed fee, or you could go with the variable fees, and variable is always a scare for people. So same thing with the businesses. Businesses want to definitively know what it is going to cost them. So that was a major reason why we chose the Hedera as one of our choice of L1 as an hashgraph. The second important factor, other than price, was it's also the finality, TPS. It was very fast. It was critical. Third, I would say for us, it was super important. Let's say tomorrow the cryptography changes, and now there are quantum computing coming and going to break this tech. How would you go and change the private keys of these customers? They all are extremely vulnerable. So you have to have a council-like structure and a deep thinking process that private keys or public keys could be swapped without disturbing the underlying businesses. If I go and tell, like, think about what is happening on these airline softwares. They're running all these softwares. They're written 20, 30 year old. If you ask to overhaul them, it's a massive project. We wanted an easy, scalable blockchain solution or hashgraph, which is rather a unique solution which achieves the decentralization, but have a certain control at the council side where they can continue to guide Hedera to a much more, I would say, valuable ecosystem for all the participants. That was a major driver for us. We went through in a lot of details how so every network we have validated against Hedera, and it came out very shiny.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. And we've got a question for you here as well that's coming through YouTube. Do you see platforms like Zeni changing how travel agents operate, or mainly helping them compete with larger booking platforms? I think you may have touched on this earlier, but it might be good to
Oh yeah, no, I have a huge take on that. And then of course, Jonathan's network of identifying the technology of systems, right? So you have ownership or a digital identity set. So the way we're looking at it is we're bringing, of course, nobody is untouched by the revolution AI is bringing into the ecosystem. So I see the next generation of travel agents are technically an AI agent. So Luke and Jonathan would go, hey, I know London super well. I know New York great. I know these are the best places I think people should go who love drinking beer or eating pasta or going to this awesome pizza or whatever that is, right? And now Luke built his own AI avatar agency. Now what he needs is this knowledge, this agent has a knowledge, should be able to make money off of this knowledge. It's a skill. It's probably the skill of a travel agent. They are super expert on Hawaii as a destination. So we are going to give AI agents and the travel agents and avatar agent, their clone, digital clone, who would not only build and bring the businesses, they will make the money for them while agents are sleeping. And they would only take the cases which are too difficult. So next generation of travel agents is like themselves bringing the knowledge to their closed user group. And agents' job is to bring the users who are looking for exact same matching or looking for an experience, then the value could be driven. What Zeni is bringing to the table is think of let me give you a little easier example. Think of like a coffee shop run and operated by bots. Now, that coffee shop also has one option to bring the customer to the coffee shop, and you own it. So we are now building the ecosystem where agent can create their own clones, and they will bring the customers, they will serve the customers, and they will make sure the customer gets the value out of every single transaction. So for example, you're trying to book a hotel in New York, a plain vanilla question for GPT or Claude or any of the current chatbots is like, hey, find me the best hotel in New York, or what are the top 10 hotels in New York? But that's a very, I would say, ratings-driven question will be answered by a bot. It is not what you are looking for. The bot we're building would be probably like, Luke would come to, let's say, jonathantravel.com and say, hey, I want to go to New York. These are my dates, and this is my budget. Instead of recommending me vanilla option, make sure I don't compromise. I want only 5-star hotel, and I want the best deal available in the market.
Yeah.
So now the Jonathan Travel, which is the agency you're visiting, will go and make sure the Luke is taken care from point he raised the question, goes and finds the best deal across the ecosystem, because we have that distributed wholesale channel. So probably you might get, let's say, 4 Seasons downtown in New York City for a $1,000 night, but the hotel next to it could be the same value, $300 cheaper at that point in time. You would want to take that. So these are like very nuanced value propositions we're adding into the basket of an independent agents. And agents would be able to just simply launch their online store and just continue to make money and drive the revenue for themselves and the value to their customers.
Incredible. I've seen as well people touching on sort of AI agents and having a reputation-based system for AI agents to be able to say, well, this one is trustworthy. Is that something that would, you're looking to implement in the future potentially, or is that slightly separate, more on the agents side, or sorry, the travel agency side?
So we are certainly limiting exposure. Like, we are not allowing anybody to come and build an agent right away. So what we're trying to do is like, does this fits to the ecosystem, and does this information give the real value to the customer? Once we know that we are providing real value, we will also at the same time creating a very security around that agent's ownership. It's an intellectual property of that agent, and the security needs to stay around that agent. That data cannot go out and stolen by somebody, because that revenue will shift. Yeah. That secret sauce will shift. So it will be super localized, but hyper marketed across the globe.
And maybe there are areas where we can also collaborate. So at the end
definitely,
of the day,
and also the payments problem too, right? So if the wallet system is already embedded for both, it's just
no, exactly. And I think beyond the payment, if I understand correctly, the design of the Xeni platform is also to bring along the knowledge that you have about yourself. Most probably, I have my own AI agent that I can actually start negotiating with the platform and make sure that it can passes on all my criteria, if not the historical data that can be leveraged as criteria to actually best select what I need, not based on me starting to negotiate and formalize everything, just based on my agent taking the best out of for me. And again, this is where not only we need to be able to design marketplaces and platforms that bring this type of value, which is what we're trying to bring, but also it cannot work on the current infrastructure. We need those new type of infrastructure, making sure that it's going to be safe. A tiny bit like earlier on the days where we had to make a payment online.
Yeah,
we didn't want to put our credit card online because it was not safe enough. Now it's not even a question, and everything is paid seamlessly. Yeah. Well, the same is going to happen at the next level, and crypto, blockchain, DLT are topics I think that are of interest to us, but should not maybe be exposed to the end users, where they just need to have the utility of what and why we're building with those infrastructures, but should remain focused on, does it work? Does it bring me value? Is it safe? That's it. And that would be good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. +1 on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree as well. We've got some follow-up questions as well. There's a lot of questions coming in from the community, which is always awesome to see. And this sort of touches on the hardware side a little bit more, Jonathan. So I probably don't really understand, but if you put the private key on the hardware, how easy is it for users to access the private key and sign other certificates with it? I think that they might need a little bit more clarification.
It's going to be very simple answer. You control the device, the physical hardware, through your wallet. So you would receive notification on your wallet, and then you can sign things directly from your wallet for the device to actually sign transaction on chain, so on and so forth. So it's actually seamless and much more convenient to own your own wallet and make sure that you can control your devices that way. Obviously, we have also a platform where you can revoke those certificates, control the deployment. We're talking to large corporates that are deploying fleets of devices. We're talking about 1,000 or even millions of devices to be deployed in one go. So we have also the platform to do that. But at the end of the day, you want to be able to do two things. For volume-based and low-value activities, you can automate most of the things. For any transaction below 1 cent, or whenever I can start selling the energy that I'm not consuming, I want to sell everything, whatever the price. You can automate everything. And for other sensitive transactions, that's going to be very personal. You design when you want to validate things manually through your crypto wallet.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Jonathan. We have another question for you here as well. And I recognize this name as well because I know he's competing in one of our hackathons. So this could be related to his project. So it's from someone here called Emmanuel. If a team is building decentralized infrastructure to verify real-world data like electricity consumption or billing, what lessons from Sealcoin and Zeni would you recommend for ensuring scalability?
Maybe I can bring my the experience we have with Sealcoin in enabling, for example, our smart meters to be deployed. Okay, real world data most of the time is fake data, or it's controlled or manipulated data by platforms. I'm not saying that all this data is bad. I'm just saying that today we haven't tokenized trust. Okay, this data belongs to the service provider, the utility providers, and they can give you anything besides the meter counting the energy that you consume, obviously. What we want to do is make sure that the actual device will sign its own data without the owner being able to manipulate it, or without the platform provider being able to control it. And this is where we want to make sure that we create an oracle of premium data, which relies on a secure infrastructure. Whenever you need, let's say, for example, you're the weather forecast company, and you want to capture the temperature or humidity, and eventually your solar panel can provide you those temperatures and humidity points. Instead of deploying your own devices that cost a fortune to purchase, to maintain, and to control the whole thing, you can actually start engaging with those communities to do that. And if I need, as a neighbor, to get those points, I can actually purchase it on the platform, making sure that the data will be provided by the device itself, not by my neighbor. And this is where we create also a layer of trust on top of the cybersecurity. And then there's obviously a few issues when the device is stolen, when the device is malfunctioning. When the device is stolen, you actually revoke the certificate, and it falls out of the ecosystem, so you actually still control it. And when it's malfunctioning, we can create, and we're very creative in the blockchain space when it comes to game theory, reward systems through rating systems, also to make sure that you push out all those data points that seems incorrect. So we can design all those type of things. The sector is very again creative there.
Awesome. Thanks very much for answering that. Sorry. We've got another question here, and I think this is probably either one of you guys can pick this up, so whoever wants to answer it can. Do you see blockchain-based payments eventually replacing traditional money systems, or mainly improving the infrastructure behind them? I think we did touch on this a little bit, but it might be good to explain that a little bit more for this question.
I can go if you want. So it's actually, I'm seeing it's happening, right? And it's a much bigger problem for me. I've been in travel since the last 4 years. I've been a serial entrepreneur. It's a huge problem for me to either settle people in different currency and different location, different time zone, settle them on time. So people would rather prefer that ownership and the scalability, which is like finality of the transaction. I got my money, yeah, good. Is current parallel layer servicing the customers, B2B business size customers? Yes. As fast as we can get our KYC layer or KYB layer business side updated faster, I think people would want to stay on chain as much as possible. They will only go off chain in terms of payment only when they have to probably carry a suitcase full of cash and give it to someone else. Otherwise, you wouldn't need anything, because if you could just buy with the crypto money everything else, and there is a trust in the fund, and which is we're seeing it, many $1 trillion are currently being processed, volume, and settled in crypto. So yeah, I think it is the place.
Fully aligned with Sachin here. I would add to your KYC and KYB the KYO that we are starting to integrate also, because similar to know your client and know your business, where you need to make sure that you know the entity you're the counterparty you're transacting with. Sooner or later, you will want to know the device that actually comes into the transaction, and make sure that it has been onboarded properly. So that's one aspect. And coming myself from investment banking and following what's happening on DeFi, we see that blockchain is maybe not yet replacing, but used as a backend infrastructure for the traditional rail, specifically for FX. And because we have so much more efficiency on top of the cultural and vision approach that we have with non-custodian wallet, where your money belongs to you and only to you. You don't need to actually give it away to someone to manage it for you. That brings a lot of democratic values on the table, but I won't jump there, but I think they are highly relevant. I think besides that, we can gain in efficiencies a bit everywhere. It's just that we still need to replace a very well-oiled infrastructure with big interest, and also with big machines. You cannot replace those big machines in one day, and it will take time. But we already see that blockchain solution and DeFi solution can actually pump and fuel the traditional ecosystem.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. I want to add one thing on that, Jonathan and Luke. So it's like how fast we can bring the adoption to the consumers, like my mom and my dad or my friends who are not so blockchain native. And that's the major reason. The way we embedded, you wouldn't see on Xeni.com or any of Xeni's where we are talking anything about blockchain or wallets. We just gave it to them. It's like your email and username and password, and we're like, okay, all right, you want to own your wallet, this is it. Right now it's custodial, but as soon as there is funds in it, you gotta have your own wallet, and this is how you do it. So we are kind of like training the users without knowing them that you are actually on chain. So many of our customers, millions of our customers, are actually using it without knowing it. And they will soon realize it the moment we launch our new product. Hey, now I can own something and I can get something redeemed in exchange of this. They will realize very soon. So,
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And I've actually got a question sort of following on from that as well. So, if you could walk us through sort of what happens under the hood when someone books a trip on Zeni, how do you integrate that with Hedera?
Yeah, so let's take an example of a trip. and I'll take a very common city of one of the world. Luke is going on one of the large OTA. I will not name the names, but OTA means online travel agency or app.
Yeah.
You go to a system where you go book $10,000 worth of travel booking. $4,000 is your flight, $6,000 is your hotels and cars. Okay, so now you have three elements you booked in one shot, $10,000. You paid your money to that one particular platform where you made the booking on. Now they control that $10,000 and they gave you the confirmation. For you, the transaction was over, but they have aggregated that inventory from someone else, from A, B, and C players, different industry players, or airlines, or hotel, or car rental companies directly. It's a many different ways. Now they have to keep their commission and split that money with these three different suppliers. Let's say you book British Airways, right? Now you paid in dollars, and British Airways needs to get settled in pounds, right? And your trip is today. You made the reservation, but the British Airways is not going to get the money today. They have to fly you. They will get settled 30, 60 days or whatever the settlement cycle is. And there could be a problem if you decide to cancel or modify. You have to wait as well. You might get a credit. You might not get the cash back because there are multiple parties involved. So think of it's like now Luke came to a platform powered by Zeni, and you spent same $10,000. And think of that $10,000 in a virtual escrow wallet, right? And now there is a hotel provider, a car rental provider, and an airline. All these three parties get their money instantly if your booking is non-refundable, right? They're non-refundable, they get the funds settled instantly, okay? I'm going to show you, I don't know if I can share my screen. If it's possible, I'm going to show you one image.
I think it's possible, yeah.
I can, right? So let me show it to you. So what is happening here in this case is basically all of the intermediaries not only get settled, we encrypt all of the data between the parties. I'm going to try share my screen and see if I can show you one of the window, okay?
Yeah, of course.
So if you're seeing my screen, just let me know, right?
Yeah. I think we've got to wait for for someone to bring it up for us.
Okay. Yeah. So what is happening is we are taking all of the commission structure, booking ID, consolidator ID, travel if there's agent or anything. We're taking all of the cancellation policy, transaction date, and we send all that information to the ZeniPay SDK. And ZeniPay SDK basically invoke the token system, and it will send, let's say, $10,000 worth of tokens to the parties, whoever are the counterparties. And they will only be able to redeem it if the booking is non-refundable. So they send the token back to Treasury wallet, and then as ZeniPay SDK send the actual transaction into the account. So we're basically, our system is built in such a way, it has, we use HTS and HCS both. So HCS is basically storing all of the data, HTS is storing all the transaction. And I'm going to stop sharing. But this is one of our proprietary source. Every single transaction is tied in multiple ways, and also gives the value to the user at the same time. All the ecosystem participants.
Yeah, incredible. And so if you mentioned there about if a booking is non-refundable, or the airline and hotel be paid out or settled immediately. If a booking is refundable, where at what point does that then get settled for a hotel, airline?
Yeah, so if booking, so now think about it, right? The booking is refundable, and now airline has a $1 million in refundable booking. So there is a massive opportunity ecosystem has where that refundable money airline can draw against that pot.
Yes.
And that's your DeFi element comment. Like, hey, this is my money, but it's sitting in escrow. Can I borrow against it? And we can bring the community and say, hey, all right, we know out of this $1 million, 50% would definitely get canceled, go back to the user's wallet. But 50% is a solid, steady chance that this will go through. Why don't we lend them $500,000? And I'm saying the hypothetical use case of the ecosystem, right? Why don't we lend them at a price, and the airline all of a sudden, or a hotel all of a sudden has a more cash flow into their account, and the users and the community is getting yield across that, and they get paid first every time the booking comes through. So the coffer will always be full. So we're building a next generation solution where the yield products will be available. There will be a unique value for all of the participants will be there. Because hotel today wants to go and ask for, like, want to find an operating capital for running their business. They would have to go and lend their physical assets. They can't go and ask bank like, hey, pay me against all of the future bookings, which is coming from 25 different sources. No, there is no mechanism available at this point. So that's unlocking a new digital economy, not only solving the current problem, but making that money flow faster, efficiently, and allow people to be able to own it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
You don't even have to cancel the booking and call somebody. You cancel, money goes back to your wallet if it's a cancelable, if it's refundable.
It's I think that's brilliant, and I think that's what collateralization of our cash in the actual money system today is deriving to, and what we can bring actually as an added solution. And the fact that all these capabilities are manageable through smart contract brings creativity up to the sky, where we can actually start doing much more with the security and certainty that it will be executed. Without having to have T+X settlement, banks, intermediaries, counterparty risk, all credit and lending. I mean, we're talking about the whole industry and how our universe is working today, being not replaced because it will remain, but being affected with those simple mechanisms. And obviously, that's why maybe most of the people are wondering why so long, why it takes so long. It's because it's not, those are simple concepts, but affecting the whole value chain from the actual utility up to the settlement and back to your bank account or your wallet.
100%, right? So the value chain, it's not only building the infra, it's changing the user behavior and showing them it actually benefits to everybody. Because imagine one of the largest airline goes burst. What is it? There are a lot of downstream suppliers, parties get burst along with them too. So there is a loss of value there. Or an airline needs capital. They don't need to go and borrow from the market to stay in the business because they are already flying you today. But they don't have money for a month in the bank.
That's it. Speeds it all up, instant, same day settlement.
Yeah. So that these are unique plays blockchain is going to unlock. People are undervaluing the ecosystem it could bring once the adoption becomes faster.
I just want to double down on what you just said, giving maybe the audience another simple example. I was referring to the solar panel use case, the smart metering. Think of it as if you're actually paying the energy you're consuming on a day-to-day basis and you're not settling it on
monthly,
quarter. I think it's quarter. At least in Europe, it's a quarter basis. With the assumption from last year usage. I mean, think of how much efficiency we could gain for those utility providers, most of the time governments and like government-owned entities could gain in energy efficiencies. And then we ask the individuals to start making sure that they don't hit too much their flats, or they're actually try to bring this efficiency that they are not even, and it's at their door now, that they could actually execute. I think those are the type of values that we want to bring with the
super valuable. I don't know my utility bill until I get the bill.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I guess it. I pay $200 a month, maybe $250. that's one
And
thing.
you have dumb meters compared to
Yeah.
the smart meters that are just calculating it. I mean, you can actually see it. It is doable. We have the data, we have the infrastructure, but
Everything
the
is
smart
there.
meter that they're replacing it with, they're just not smart. They're just digitalized.
That's
and digital, not to the level to what we understand as digital, referring to digital money and digital identities and all of that. So this is a huge opportunity for us to build these new infrastructure, all those add-on services.
Absolutely, that's what I think. There is so much value to be accrued and to be built on top of it.
Yeah, no, agree fully. I appreciate we're running low on time now, guys. I could speak to you all day, but are there, from Jonathan, have you got any closing comments that you want to say to the community why we've got them before we start to wrap up?
The closing comment is that a lot is happening in the space. We obviously are. It's been 2 years that we're building this platform, which is about to go live, to be launched. We're about to TGE in 2 months now, mid-May. We want to make sure that obviously we have a strong launch. As we bring credibility, again, we're part of a publicly listed group on the NASDAQ, on the Swiss Stock Exchange. We want to make sure that we can bring value to individuals and corporates. And I think it's now is a time to follow what we're doing, ask questions, interact with us, and make sure we can actually bring value to these audiences, to those networks. I think to go back to my previous comment where I said that we individuals are the bottleneck of everything in the machine economy, but it will rely on us, our sovereignty, our control, our ownership, and it all starts with a strong community, making sure that we can actually bring value, which is relevant today, not tomorrow. We're not building the world for 10 years. We're building the world for today. It has to work from now on. And this is where we want to be highly relevant when it comes to selecting the right use cases. So the first three use cases that we're bringing to the network are the space communication, where we are launching those satellites and the technology is already there. It's a good relay for everything we need whenever you don't have any coverage, you or your devices. The second one is the obvious one and the very exciting one about the energy and mobility use case with smart meters, with electric vehicle, all the mobility in busy towns, and the third one maybe it's going to be the big data oracle, making sure that you can actually access the source of truth so that you have a trusted ecosystem. You want to make sure that the device you're interacting with most of the time is going to be your laptop, your mobile, whatever device. They are actually mapped in a safe environment, and you can actually start either using those data for to get improved services from service providers, or start monetizing it. Yeah. And again, the monetization doesn't have to be in cash. It can be in form of improved services, in form of better maintenances, so on and so forth. So we can be very creative in this area. So best advice, again, follow us on our traditional channels, and make sure that you're part of our TG that is coming mid-May, and ask questions to us. We'd be more than happy to answer. I think we need to be very much keen to educate everyone, and not in the form that we believe that people needs to be educated. We want to make sure that they understand why they should be using those services and how they can improve their day-to-day.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks very much, Jonathan. It's been great to have you. It's super informative. It's been really great. And Sachin, how about yourself? Any closing comments?
Yeah, won't take too much time, but I would say the community would need to stay tuned on all of our channels. There is a massive opportunity to participate in travel economy. we are going to give some levers and opportunity for all of the community users to participate in our ecosystem based on demand and sale of travel. There is a lot coming up. There will be TGE on our side. That's the only thing I could say. I don't know what, when, and I cannot disclose what is it about, but you have the hint in this entire 1 hour call, so think about it. I think that's going to drive massive value to anybody who's paying attention to what we're going to do.
Awesome. Thanks very much, both of you. It's been great to have you here. It's super informative. I hope we catch up again soon. And thanks very much.
Thank you
for having us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Sachin.